October the 2nd. The Special Regional Council meeting is being called because we don't have another meeting really till the middle of October based on our schedule. And there are some issues that we needed to deal with, some in camera, and obviously some issues that the community has been concerned about over the last since our last meeting. So I'd like to acknowledge that the Northern Rockies Administration Center is located in the heart of the traditional territories of the Dene, Cree, and Dunnezah people of Fort Nelson and the Prophet River First Nation. We further recognize the rights provided by our treaty. And finally, we also celebrate the contributions and enduring presence of the Métis people who have lived in our region for a long time. So please be advised that today's meeting is available to the public to attend virtually, as being streamed and recorded. So this meeting is a regular council meeting, a special council meeting, follows the rules of order of our council meeting. It's not a public hearing, nor is it an open public forum. There is a place on the meeting for public comment early on, but I'd like to add to the agenda delegation from the North District RCMP. Staff Sergeant Jim Fenske is here at my request. We put him at the start of the meeting because he's got 14 other detachments that he looks after and he needs to get on the road. So there are two, with respect to the RCMP, there's really there's long-term issues that we've been dealing with. And of course, there's the short-term violence that's been happening really in the last month or 6 weeks. He's here to speak specifically to those, the last month, what's been happening, and let us know what he can let us know. Council will have an opportunity to ask a question or two of Staff Sergeant Fenske, and then he's got to get on the road. So without further ado, I would like to present Staff Sergeant Fenske. If you'd like to come up to the table, please. And Jim, thanks for coming. I know that you wanted to get back to Prince George today, and you've held on until we could have this meeting. So thank you for coming, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it.
Just, yeah, thank you. Got it. Yeah. As long as the red light's on, you're good.
Okay. If you just wanted to I can give a brief overview of what we're actively involved in and some of the steps we've taken to mitigate some of the violence over the last little while in Fort Nelson. Obviously, this has been going on for quite some time. There was a real lack of a path as to how we were going to address these incidents. As a result of that, brought in a dedicated team of investigators from all over northern BC to try to figure out potentially exactly what's happening and who's doing what. Over the last 2 to 3 days, we've made significant headway, and we're able to determine exactly what is happening here and who our primary targets are. And I'll use the word targets because that's how we're going to deal with it. With this path now created, in the next coming days, weeks, and months, you'll see a substantial increase in the amount of police officers in Fort Nelson. With the intelligence we had gathered and was able to make that path, we were able to hit certain benchmarks, which allowed us to bring in additional resources. So starting today, we are actively looking for the people we believe that are responsible for these crimes, and we're looking to make arrests and bring them before the courts. What is important to know is that we do not believe that these are random acts of violence. These are targeted through these 3 investigative paths. Without getting into great detail, we know that these events are targeted more or less at each other. So while we can never completely eliminate the risk to the public, we do not believe that these are anything more than targeted events. And like I said, in the next coming days, weeks, and months, you're going to see a substantial increase in the amount of police officers present in Fort Nelson starting today. I believe today we have upwards of 12 to 14 police officers in Fort Nelson, not including me, that are actively working on these cases.
Okay. Thank you very much, Staff Sergeant. Are there any questions from council for the Staff Sergeant before we let him loose and let him get on his way? Please.
Can you give us any information as to when we will be getting a staff sergeant or whatever you call it, the head person in town?
Yeah, and that's a long-term question. So he's not here to speak to the long-term issues that we've been having. So he's here to speak specifically with respect to the.
So you can't answer that question.
Well, I wish I could. I know that we have robust succession plans in place for some of the positions here, but I had a meeting with the CAO and the mayor yesterday and explained what we are actually doing to fill those vacancies, and there's a process that has to take place.
It's just not public.
Thanks.
Thank you for the update, and we appreciate the additional resources. Would part of those additional resources be overnight patrols? Are we seeing that in the community yet, or do we still not have any overnight coverage for the community?
I know that's a tactic. You don't need to speak to tactics.
I can maybe just briefly kind of answer that without getting into specifics, if it's all right, Your Worship. Yes, we're gonna be more flexible with hours. These extra resources that are being brought in are going to create a shift schedule, I believe, based on some of the crime data we have. So put the people where they need to be when they need to be there.
Great, thank you for answering that.
Any other questions, council? Jim, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, and I appreciate it, and look forward to continue working with you guys.
Yeah. Appreciate again that you delayed your trip home and or back to the other detachments that you need to go to. So thank you very much, and have a safe drive. Okay, that brings us now. Are there any other additions to today's agenda from council? Seeing none, that brings us to the public comment period. So this is the opportunity for the public to comment on anything that's on the agenda that they may have concerns about. If you'd like to come to the mic, you have 3 minutes to state the comments that you have. And if you do come to the mic, please state your name. Is there anybody who'd like to take us up on that? Please.
Hi, Council. My name is Andrew Mason. I'm sure you all know me. I work over at the rec center. I'm also a resident of Willow Road. And I'm going to apologize before I start because I'm a little passionate and I might drop a couple of swear words that may not necessarily be copacetic, but I will try to keep it as clean as possible. I want to thank the fire department and the police. First and foremost, fire department, excellent job. Okay, you guys showed up, you did your stuff, and we can't thank you enough. The biggest problem I think I have is the radio silence from you. It's been a month and I haven't heard a peep from anybody. You have a terrorized neighborhood, and I'm not talking terrorized, I'm talking terrorized. We were woken up by exploding 100-pound propane tanks, exploding vehicles, gunshots ringing off in the middle of the night. This should be treated like domestic terrorism, not just simple arson or simple shooting, like this is domestic terrorism. This has gone a little step too far. And I just, basically, I want to thank you guys is mostly what I want to say, but the disappointment comes from the mayor. You have said nothing in a month. You couldn't even come down to the neighborhood and say, hey man, like I feel for you guys, like pat me on the back, not that I really need that or a hand holding or whatever, but something should be said because it's free to do. It costs you nothing to do it. I think I've said my piece. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. I take the criticism. I take it squarely on my own shoulders and endeavor to do better in the future. Is there anybody else who'd like to step to the mic? Please. Yeah. And just your name, please.
Okay, my name's Jim Beck, and I got a solution for your problem. Put a bylaw in, stop these four-wheelers from driving around at nighttime, or whatever time you decide, till the morning. Anybody's four-wheeler gets caught, they get confiscated. They take it out, but they probably stolen anyways. Spike all the trails at nighttime, and you know, put game cameras out on the trails, right to the cops' house. They sit there, they're having their popcorn, beep, beep, it goes off. Oh, there's another four-wheeler, go pick it up, take it away. End of problem in a week. These guys are running and coming back in four-wheelers. I hear them at night on 43rd. I go out there with a baseball bat. You know, seriously, the whole neighborhood, my whole street on 43rd, we're all on alert. These guys don't come down our street anymore because they know we're ready to, you know, take it into our own hands. That's all. That's the only solution I can think of. Get rid of the four-wheelers at nighttime. End of problem. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Case. I've been a resident in Fort Nelson for almost 25 years, originally from Toronto. I left this in Toronto after swimming in this for 11 years. That's why I left to come to this community, got married, had kids. Me sitting here today, I'm probably going to put another bullseye on my back. So I'm going to spell it out for you, Mayor. I've been threatened. My wife's been threatened. My two daughters have been included in an indirect or direct threat. Funny enough, not long after, here we find ourselves. This did not have to come to this. Okay? There's a lot more that can be done. Unfortunately, I have criticism of you. Just sitting here today, you seem to be more interested in getting the member of the RCMP out of this room as fast as possible. The question asked by Member Gerwing is one that a lot of us have concerns over. Why is it from 2 a.m. to whatever time? We have no police presence. No offense, but you really shouldn't have said anything. She was representing her constituents. Okay, I'm not going to say too much more. There are tons of resources that cost a lot less than the money available to this municipality to help the RCMP if they need that help. I won't get into those, but this is unnecessary. I'm honestly disgusted. I go to bed stressed out. I don't sleep well. I don't know if anybody else has that pleasure of wondering when the bullets may go through their kid's bedroom, or maybe their house gets torched, or my dogs get poisoned. Where am I going to get assaulted? Born and raised in Toronto, spent enough years watching over my back. And that's where I'm at right now. This element in our community, yeah, they can be our friends, they can be our neighbors or cousins, whatever. But at the end of the day, enough people here know exactly who these people are and what they're about. You all do. Anyone been here longer than I does? They're well ingrained in our community. And how do we resolve that? Hey, that's another question. Well, let's not all sit here and act like we don't know, because we also had a part. Everyone who sat here and never picked up a phone and called that anonymous line to report something, well, this is what we get. When good people stay silent, this is what you get. You didn't even have to walk into the detachment or talk to someone in uniform. This is what we get. My wife and I kill ourselves to give our daughters a better life than we've had as children. We work honest, we work at night, we scrub toilets. That's how we make our living. And I have to now live in fear for my kids. So yeah, I probably just put another bullseye on me. So when you go to bed tonight, not just you, Mr. Mayor, but everybody else out in this community that's probably going to hear this, you bear in mind that for doing the right thing, this is what I got. And all you have to do is pick up a phone and call a 1-800 number. No one will ever see your face or never know who you are. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Marky. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much for those of you who braved the mic and the TV cameras to get up and tell us what your opinions are, what your concerns are. I do feel for everybody in this community. I feel for those people who have been terrorized, and I feel for those people who are in fear of being terrorized. With respect to the staff sergeant being here and getting out of here, he wasn't going to come. I had to set some ground rules with him for him to come to the meeting today. And those ground rules included keeping it to the issues that he was prepared to speak to. And those issues, when he told me he was not prepared to speak to the issues of the long term, he told us what was happening. He was not prepared to speak to those today. He was not prepared to speak to tactics with respect to when the RCMP officers were going to be on the road, when they weren't, how many were going to be on the road. He did it, but he wasn't prepared to speak to those yesterday. So kudos to him for answering the questions that I was attempted to stop down, but I had rules that he gave me in order to come, and that's what I stuck to. He wandered outside of that. That's fine. That's his prerogative. He's got many other detachments and a family at home that he needs to get back to. Came here in the long weekend, but he stayed over this morning to get to this meeting to try to give as much information as he possibly could to those who were prepared to come to the meeting and those who will listen and go online and hear what he have to say. So now I'm prepared to open it up to anybody who may want to quiz us about what it is that we've been doing. Because not one thing that has been mentioned today hasn't been said by me to somebody at the RCMP at a very high level, including the Solicitor General of this province. When I get an answer, I'm restricted with respect to what I can say in the public and what I can't say in the public with respect to, again, tactics, their response, what they're doing. The mayor needs to support those frontline security workers and service workers and emergency workers, because if I don't, what message does that send to the public? That our own mayor doesn't support the people that are out there doing this job and putting their lives on the line every single day. But out of respect for them, I'm not going to say whether or not they're working, what hours of the day they're working, or when they're working, or how many are in town, or what type of officers are in town. That's a messaging that needs to come from the RCMP. We'll absolutely convey that message and move, but that's their narrative, not our narrative. We need to say and back up what it is that they're giving us. With respect to not going down to the neighborhood and knocking on doors and telling people how sorry I am for the situation, I'll take that squarely on my own shoulders. But with respect to the work that we've been doing and our staff have been doing with the RCMP since January, and it's common knowledge that there's been no senior NCO here since January, but we've been in contact with them often, for sure, monthly since then. And as these terrorism, as somebody has said what it is, as these incidents in the community have been increasing, those conversations between our staff and the senior NCO and management of the RCMP have been weekly, if not daily, in the last couple of weeks. I'll leave that to the CAO to speak to how many times he's been speaking to the RCMP. But it's not that we haven't been doing anything. It's that we can only communicate the narrative that the RCMP gives us. And if you look at the news reports that they put out, there's not a lot of information there that we can move and put forward. But we have information that we're asked to protect and we can't make public. And I will, I'll stake my job on that expectation. there anybody who'd like to comment? Give you one more chance. No, we'll carry on with it. Please state your name, please. 3 minutes.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bruce Steinstead. Thanks, Mark, for those words. I've lived here over 20 years. Same thing, small community. We've always had everyone's back. Mayor, we're not asking for direct information from the RCMP, but this has been going on for a long time, and it's been crickets. I get we can't give their tactics out, but at least we could paint a picture of, we got extra people up, we're working on it, but we haven't heard anything. It's to the point there's actually probably going to be vigilantism if it's not already out there. There's people in this community that are upset, lost equipment, houses getting shot, houses getting burnt. We don't want to see that, but something needs to change quick because they've had enough. They're fed up. So all I ask is mayor and council, let's get something out to the public, whatever it is, general statement. This is what we're doing. Can't give you details, but we do have resources and we're working on it. But with us not hearing anything, the rumor mill goes and it just is not a clear picture to everybody. And he's right. You know, I'm citizen on patrol. There's 5 of us. We'd love to have more volunteers to go out one night a month, but you're putting yourself at risk. You know, the RCMP, when we go out, they say, don't go to these areas, and this is why. No details, but they just say stay to these areas. Our community shouldn't be like that. And like Mark said, we know who the people are. We all know who it is. Round them up, kick them out of town for a month, and we'll see the change in the community. There'll be no houses burnt, nothing getting shot at, and no people missing like we have right now. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. So I guess the last thing I'll say with respect to that is we're not decision makers with respect to the RCMP. We don't get to tell them what to do, how to do it, or how they can enforce the law. We're influencers. We can influence it at the best. We don't pay for RCMP in this community. Your taxes you pay, but it goes to the provincial police force. It doesn't come to us. We don't pay tax. We don't pay directly for the RCMP services. So the best we can do is influence. And we've done what we can to influence the RCMP with respect to the long-term issues that we've been having with respect to senior NCOs in the community, with community policing, with communication from the RCMP. All we can do is influence. And we can be as frustrated as everybody else, maybe more so, because we get ignored and we don't get the information that we're requesting and asking. Same information I'm sure many of you are looking for. Starts to get more frustrating when they do tell you something, then tell you can't say anything about it. So it's a difficult situation. I certainly do not want to see anybody taking the law into their own hands. We certainly do not want to see any vigilante justice happening. And that's why the experts are here to look after this situation. The experts are the RCMP. We're not the experts. We're lay people. We can, again, do the best we can to communicate, try to get the communication to run both ways. But it's frustrating. There's no doubt about it. It's frustrating.
I think what I'm hearing is that the information we're able to share today is the first time a lot of our community has heard it, and they're just looking for a better lane of communication to express those views that we are allowed to share.
Yeah. He made it very clear that these are not random acts of violence, that these are targeted acts of violence. The first time they've said that to us is here. So we can't go out and start saying that that's what that is before they release it to us.
No, but just
we can't tell people they're not at risk because these are targeted acts until we're informed that they're targeted acts. And even then you can't guarantee that there's not some sort of side innocent bystander that's injured by some targeted act by people in our community. You're right. We can probably, between everybody in this room, make a pretty comprehensive list. Those people are known to the RCMP. So knowing if they can't do anything, we all know. We all know who these people are. So I'll take it on the chin that we haven't been saying anything. But what will we say that would satisfy people when we don't have the facts ourselves yet?
Even that we're having the meetings, that we're having the conversations, because I think the community wasn't even sure we were having meetings with the RCMP. And as a council, we should communicate that better, more thoroughly.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay. Adoption of today's agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Souls. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dickey. Thank you. There are actually correspondence is there. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters of correspondence. What is your will? To discuss them or to receive them for information? What are your wishes? Councillor Dickey?
Do the community members, can they see those letters?
Yeah. Yeah, there's package.
Yeah, so I think it's really important that you do pick up a copy of it, because there is a lot of information in there, and it does show that the council and the CAO have been working a lot with the RCMP and the fire department. And I feel for everybody. I've lived here a lot of years, and it's like the wild, wild west. And if we all created a list of the people we thought were involved, they'd be the same. They would be the same. And you know, as a mother, I want to go to these people and just give them one of those, because it's a real reflection of trauma and upbringing. And there's a lot more to it than just drugs and crime. And, you know, what's the root cause and where's our services for that? So I think I encourage you to pick up a copy of the letters because there's lots of discussions between the RCMP and the fire department. And I think it would maybe ease your mind knowing that there is work being done. It's just that it can't always be shared, and it's very limited in what can be shared, but there is work being done.
So can I have a motion for discussion of these items, please? So moved by Councillor Gerwing, second by Councillor Enax. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I'd like to draw one, he's our MLA, it's in the room today. I'd like to draw your attention to one of these letters, which is a response. The response letter to MLA Dan Davies from the Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General. In that letter, there's a clause in there where the Solicitor General's staff essentially tells Mayor and Council to be talking to the senior management of the local detachment. That's exactly our problem. It's the Solicitor General telling us that we need to talk to our local detachment commander. We haven't had one since January. It tells you the level of understanding that even the senior most provincial minister has with respect to the situation that's going on here. So they're not, when I presented that to the Solicitor General at UBCM with a 15-minute meeting that we had, he said, who are you talking to then? I said, I'm talking to you now, because we've exhausted every single step. We had to go all the way to the minister. Now, I think the minister's staff have been interacting with our senior staff to staff as it should happen since then. And I think we're certainly on the radar. And I would like to think that the RCMP had already made plans that Staff Sergeant spoke to today. But if not, then maybe there was a bit of a prodding that came from the Solicitor General. There are several letters in there from local businesses that are concerned, and I certainly am concerned along with them. Particularly the letter that come from Ben Wall. His, you know, I don't know how he can still be in business. His you know, his operations have been you know, burned and vandalized and terrorized, I guess, maybe even a better word. Maybe I'll start using that word, you know, multiple times. And if there was a local staff sergeant, I won't say there hasn't been a presence, but the presence has been a rotating presence. 2 sergeants from Fort St. John rotating through here Monday to Friday, and which means late Monday afternoon and gone first thing Friday. And really don't have the local presence, local understanding about what happened, what's going on. So these might sound like excuses, but these are conversations that have been had over the last several months with myself and as well as with our senior staff, because that's who generally deals with that's who does deal with the day-to-day operations and activities here. And so I'm here to tell you that our staff have been very active and very busy with the RCMP to try to get some action from them. So that's the statements I had with respect to those letters. I don't know if anybody else would like to comment on the letters that we received since the last meeting. Seeing none, then that will bring us to new business items, which is 6.1, a public safety Northern Rockies fire rescue update. So I'll turn it over to staff to give us the update that our staff has with respect to what's been happening.
I can just comment and here. James is here to answer any questions. I mean, in terms of an update, our staff from a response perspective have done an incredible job, and I echo. I mean, you've heard it enough from me through the evacuation at the time and everything you've done through this situation and the challenging times you've had, and it's been a commendable job. And I think obviously we've heard it and it's been echoed by the public. Just to add a couple of things, Mayor. I mean, yes, there's been a lot of work that's occurred. We're frankly just as frustrated as many in the community are, and of course, in our roles professionally, can't jump out on a rooftop and communicate that broadly to the community around how frustrated we are at times, because it would be inappropriate. And then when we do try to contact someone or phone them, they're not going to answer. But, you know, to put it into perspective, you know, recently and over this weekend and days past, I mean, the significant calls and emails and correspondence, not just with the commanding officers higher up than Staff Sergeant Fensky with the RCMP, you know, additionally with ministry staff of the public service, public safety and Solicitor General, who we got their attention and know who we are, and significant conversations with their staff, and of course, as you mentioned, in addition to the conversations with the minister directly. So lots of work is occurring in the background, but definitely can appreciate and understand the frustrations and the concerns in the community, what's going on. From a fire response perspective, specifically, what we do have control over, the staff has been above and beyond the call of duty in terms of not just responding to fire calls, but also securing scenes, which frankly isn't our role after the fact. Comes down to resourcing issue with the RCMP. They're well aware. I've communicated my concerns, but a necessity on our end to do things to protect the scene so proper investigations could occur. The chief brought in special inspector with a canine handler from the Office of the Fire Commissioner to do some additional investigating, and that occurred over the weekend in conjunction just to do whatever else we can to look at whatever other evidence that can help secure information, and of course work with the RCMP, because when we frankly put the fire out and confirm we're suspicious or not, it gets handed over to the RCMP as a criminal investigation at that point. We're involved in terms of the investigation piece in terms of potential cause, but figuring out who did it and whatnot is not the role of the fire department. Additionally, you know, the staff has done additional patrols. There's been additional staffing on, and quite frankly, with the small department we do have, the amount of calls has been exhausting for that group, quite frankly. But other than that, I'll pass it over to James if he has anything else to add or any questions council or anyone might have specific to fire rescue.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm basically here to answer any questions anybody has. This year's been a fairly taxing year for us. I meant last year our suspicious incendiary calls were around 23. To date, we're at 31. So that's increasing. Over the years since I've been with the department, we've always been dealing with these types of incidents, just not as regularly as they are here the last month or so. But yeah, I'm here to answer any questions anybody might have, or try to answer the best I can.
Council? Council Andrews, please.
Not a question, but strong community voice behind our local fire department, your people, all the praise in the world for our local people. We're so happy you're all safe. You're doing what you're doing. We can't be grateful enough. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for that. I just want to remind everybody, because it holds deep in our heart, is our first line of duty death was during the last drug war in Fort Nelson. So that's something we're constantly thinking of when we do respond at all hours of the day and night. So we have did extra patrols. We have secured scenes, like Scott said. We are working with the local RCMP detachment quite a bit. I did bring in a fire investigator from the Office of Fire Commissioner with a canine arson detection dog. We spent 3 days with him. We revisited a lot of incidents. We revisit some of the investigations that I was doing, and we found lots of really good information to forward on to RCMP. So I do most of the local fire investigation, the cause and what causes these fires. It was nice to bring in the Office of Fire Commissioner to help drive and show the different incidents that we're dealing with and what are the cause of a lot of these fires. So I do have resources throughout the province I can call in on any time. So we'll keep that in our back pocket if we ever require more assistance. So yeah, anything else?
Any other councillors, comments? Okay, Chief, thank you very much for your time. I would echo Councillor Andrews' comments. I think he's probably summed it up as well as anybody could, with respect to our gratitude to yourself, your team, and all the volunteers that work with you guys to do what you do. So thank you very much for your time today, and again, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you, and I'd just like to say onto the public, anytime you guys have issues, questions, how we can better serve you, just phone the fire hall. I know my cell number is quite a way out in the public as it is, because I pass my business card out quite a bit. We're always looking at better ways we can serve the public. So thank you.
Is there anything else with respect to item 6.1?
No, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to item 7, which is the way we normally end our meetings, with the opportunity for the media and or the public to ask any questions. It's been a fairly short meeting. We had the opening opportunity, and this is the closing opportunity for the media or any members of the public to make a question of council. Is there anybody who would like to do that? Okay, thank you very much. Seeing none, I need a resolution then to move into a closed meeting. So we have personnel as well as some other updates that are sensitive in nature. So could I have a motion to go in camera, please? Moved by Councillor Dickey, second by Councillor Andrew. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you very much. We are temporarily adjourned. Thank you for coming out today, everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for coming. Need help to get it? Pardon? Need help to the door? I'm okay. You're good. Take me. All right.
Okay, take care
of our meeting. Thank you, everybody. We're out of the in-camera portion of our meeting. We do have one motion to rise and report.
Moved by Counselor Andrews, seconded by Counselor Dickey, that the mayor create a community release with regard to the public safety concerns currently, including activities of advocacy on behalf of the NRM. Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Adjournment of the regular meeting is in, or sorry, the special meeting is in order. Moved by Counselor Andrews, second by Counselor Enax. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everybody.